let's get started here. Learning and creating with Nearpod here. Really, really excited to be working with you all this afternoon. What I'm going to do in the first part of this is show you a lot of the different activities that are built here within Nearpod. And I want you to experience it as a student. And what I'm going to have you do here is I'm going to kind of have you do these activities on your student screen. That's the screen you joined my presentation on. But then I'm going to say, hey, switch back to my teacher screen. That's the screen I'm sharing through Zoom. And that's the teacher end, because I want you, again, to see both sides of that equation there. So this first activity here on your student screen, this is a matching pairs activity. And it's a way for me to introduce myself without actually having to introduce myself. And what you're going to do is you're going to click on those squares that correspond with one another. Every square has a matching square to it. So my example here, let me find one here. I'm a district strategy consultant here with Nearpod. And so if I click on that text and I click on the Nearpod logo, those boxes kind of light up. I get a little check mark and they turn blue. All right, I see I've got a fellow Metallica fan here in the group. Funny story about me playing with members of Metallica. I'll save it for another time, but that's 100% true. And if you just joined us, welcome. My name is David. I am a district strategy consultant here with Nearpod. I just put a link in the chat. You can join my presentation that way. That way you get to interact with everything going on, or you can open up a new tab in your browser, go to join.nearpod.com and enter in that code. It's going to be in the top left-hand corner of my screen, GNI6L. Now, just to let everyone know, this session is being recorded. And I'll be sharing it back with your school when we're done. So back on my teacher screen, if you've already completed, and I see a bunch of you are in here already, I can see how many tries you've had, how many matches you've made. What I'm checking for as a teacher is I'm seeing, hey, who's engaged in the activity, who's not, who might be having some trouble on this. So I'm getting results in real time as I'm kind of scrolling through and seeing your names and seeing, how many matches you've made. I can make adjustments as a teacher kind of on the fly. So I'm going to give everyone just a minute or two to play with this one, and we'll move on from here. And if you just joined, please check out the Zoom chat there. I posted a link. You can click on that. You can join my presentation as a student. All right. I like the matching pairs right up front. It's great bell work. And again, I can do different things with it as I'm looking at the activity. I can do math facts. I can do vocabulary. I can do cause and effect. Sky's the limit with a lot of these different activities. All right. Well, I will keep us moving here. Here are our learning objectives and key topics for our session today. And on my student screen, this here is, kind of what we're going to be working on here. So I've got my ISTE standards, and over on the right-hand side, I've got kind of your takeaways. So we're going to talk about how we really can transform teaching and learning. We're going to talk about how we can find and launch our Nearpod lessons, over 8,500 standard aligned lessons right here in the Nearpod library. Talk about creating and editing lessons, how we can allow students to demonstrate their own learning, and how do we monitor student understanding in real time here. So those are our learning objectives and key topics for our session today. But let's get back to the kind of our fundamentals. What is Nearpod? And right there, kind of at face value, it's a way we can actively engage students. Lessons created within Nearpod or taken from the Nearpod library are interactive, they're engaging, they're fun, they're exciting. Students are going to love them. But then on the back end, it also provides teachers with real-time data. So, and as you'll see that as we go through the activities in the first part of our training today, as you switch back and forth and you look at your screen and look at my screen, I'm able to see real-time data. I can also get all the data after my lesson is concluded as well. But ways I can capture student learning in a way that I can pivot if I need to, kind of in the moment here. So I want to play you a video It's a little less than 2 minutes long. It gives a nice overview of kind of what Nearpod is, what it looks like. Make sure that you're watching my screen, the screen that I'm sharing through Zoom, not your student screen, but the screen I'm sharing through Zoom, because I'm only going to play the video on that screen. And here we go.
Introducing Nearpod. With Nearpod, you can make every lesson interactive. Launch lessons your students can't wait to join with collaborative, engaging activities like virtual reality, simulations, and gamified quizzes.
All right, now what I didn't tell you is that this is a completely interactive video. You can insert multiple choice or open-ended questions into any video. So back on your student screen here, you've got a question in front of you. Which activity or content is your favorite here? We have virtual reality, we have quiz, we have polls, we have simulations. Go ahead and select one here. And once you've selected your favorite, go ahead and click on that blue submit button in the bottom left-hand corner. And then back on my screen, I'm able to see results populate in real time here. I've got a nice pie chart on my screen. It keeps moving as your answers come in, and I can see how the answers all break down. I can then also switch to my my student screen here, and I can see individual students, how you all answered these questions. So I've got an individual report, and then I've got a bird's eye kind of class view report. All right, let's switch back to actually, you're looking at my teacher screen. I'm going to continue the video. Here we go.
Quizzes. As the teacher, you'll always know where your students are with Nearpod's formative assessments, including polls, open-ended questions, draw-its, and more. Get started with what you already have. Upload any of your favorite resources, PowerPoints, Google Slides, and videos, including directly from YouTube. Then, add in media and formative assessment in a few clicks. And now you can add questions directly into videos to make them interactive. Get started even faster with our library of pre-made lessons and videos, built in partnership with some of your favorite brands. You can use them as is or customize to meet the unique needs of your students. Once you're ready to launch your lesson, choose from 3 teaching modes. In live participation mode, you control the pace and students participate on their devices, either in person or remotely with web conferencing. In student-paced mode, students move through and participate on their own, whether they're working from home or in class working in centers, stations, or groups. With front-of-class mode, you can use Nearpod without student devices and facilitate collaborative discussions. Imagine what you can do with Nearpod. Your students will love lessons that combine engaging media with collaborative ways for them to show off how much they've learned. You'll love unlocking student understanding in real time and having reports to inform the next day's instruction.
All right, so one last question here on your student screen. How would you describe Nearpod to a friend? As you are kind of digesting this video, and I've been talking now for a few minutes, how would you describe Nearpod to a friend as, just kind of at face value here? This is an open-ended question. Again, we can insert multiple choice or open-ended questions into any video. So you can type here, in this text box here, and when you're done, click on that blue submit button in the bottom left-hand corner for me, please. All right, and then back on my teacher screen, again, I can see your results and your answers pop in real time here. So I'm just going to read a couple out here. It's a way to make slides interactive to keep kids engaged in your lesson. Absolutely. It's an interactive learning platform, an educational digital resource. It's a great way to describe it there. Highly engaging interactive platform that allows for real-time data for your students. Great way for students to be actively engaged with the lesson. The other thing I can do here is I can share out answers. So now on your screen, you're going to see a response from one of your peers here, but what you're not going to see is the name of the student. Anytime you share out a response from a student, there's no name. It's 100% risk-free for our students. So some students don't like their work to be shared with others, even if it's an exemplar. So we can share out work from our students without making the student nervous about, again, their work being shared. A fun interactive way to introduce, teach, and engage students. And a couple of you put in, hey, I've never used it before, and I'm here to learn. Welcome. That's what we're doing here too as well. I know, see, a lot of you have been in here or you've used Nearpod a little bit in the past, but some of you are brand new, and so that's great. Welcome. All right, let's keep on moving here. So what is Nearpod? Nearpod allows for 100% student participation. And again, what we mean when we say that is, when we ask a question of our students in our classrooms, let's say we got 25, 30 students in the classroom, and we ask a question, we might have 5 or 6 students raise their hand. We might call on 1 or 2. We don't know what the other 28 students are thinking or how they would respond. Having a platform like Nearpod allows for 100% student participation. We can strategically place discussion and formative assessments throughout our presentations, and it's great for whole group or small group or even individualized one-on-one instruction. So we've got an open-ended question here in front of you now. And before you answer this question, I want to show you a couple of things. But the question is, what can happen to learning when every student has the opportunity to participate with every question? Now, before you answer this question, I'm going to have you do 2 things. Top right-hand corner of your screen, you got a little notepad with a pen on it. And when you hover over it, the whole kind of right-hand side of your screen, that strip on the right-hand side, it's going to turn blue. If you click on that, it's going to open up a little window, and it's going to ask you to choose a method to save your notes: email, Google Drive, or OneDrive. Now, when you do this, you're going to get a copy of all the slides, all the links, all the resources, all your work that you're doing and participating in. You're going to get a copy of all of it. I connect everything with Google, so I'm going to click on Google, click on my Nearpod account, or whatever account I want to connect it to, and allow for that access. I can also designate a folder if I'd like to. And now my notes are connected. I can type in here as well. Oops. I can type in the notes if I want to as well. Those notes will transfer over, but I don't have to in order to get all the resources and all the slides or everything. So go ahead, take a minute, connect your notes. And then if you're not going to type in notes there, you can click on that little notepad again. It'll push it all the way to the right-hand side. Now, once you have connected your notes, I want to draw your attention to another button here on the top right. It's that circular button with an open-ended, it looks like an open book with a speaker on it. And when I click on that, that takes us to Microsoft's Immersive Reader built right into Nearpod. Now, this does a lot of amazing things. And when I think back in my time when I was a principal, I was a principal for 10 years, but for 5 of those years, I was at a school that had a lot of English language learners. This would have been a game changer for me. I also had kind of a sizable special education population as well. Let me show you what this can do. And again, this is Immersive Reader embedded right here into Nearpod. First thing it can do is text to speech.
Think about it. What can happen to learning when every student has the opportunity to participate with every question?
I can click on individual words and have a picture dictionary come up and play individual words.
Learning.
I can speed up or slow down the speed of the voice. I can also change the voice back and forth from a male to a female voice. Up in the top right, up in text preferences, I can increase or decrease the size of the text. Great if a student is on a 504 accommodation and needs a large print text. I can increase or decrease the spacing, change the font, even change the background color. Up here in the middle, grammar options, I can break these words into syllables, highlight parts of speech. But my favorite feature by far in reading preferences is the translate feature. I can translate this text and any text created within Nearpod into any and all of these languages. There are dozens to choose from, and in the past year, this list is like doubled. So I'm going to go down here to Spanish, translate the document, and less than a second later, it's now translated this text in Spanish, and then 17 of the languages, it'll read it back to me.
Piénsalo. ¿Qué puede pasar con el aprendizaje cuando cada estudiante tiene la oportunidad de participar con cada pregunta?
So think about utilizing Nearpod for homework with, say, your English language learners, and now families at home can participate at higher levels because they can have that work translated into their home language. So getting back to the question, what can happen to learning when every student has the opportunity to participate with every question? You have two ways of answering this. You can type here in the text box. Oh, my typing today is less than stellar. There we go. Or if you want to, go down to record audio right below that text box. And if you click on this, you can actually record an audio response and have that submitted to the teacher. This is great, again, for our English language learners or our students with special needs where typing might be a barrier to them. So go ahead, answer the question however you want to. Just click on that blue submit button in the bottom right-hand corner. And Jeff, I see a question there. Do the settings students choose stay in place across all presentations? So you actually, as a teacher, you choose the settings, and yes, they stay in place across all your presentations. So you can actually turn the immersive reader on or off if you want this tool out there, and you control that as the teacher. Right, and then back on my teacher screen, I'm just looking at what you have written, because again, everything's in real time here. Increased retention of information, more knowledge for the teacher as to what students know and don't know. Love that, Melissa, thank you. Teachers can monitor and adjust their instruction based on real-time feedback from the students, yes. Students stay on task and teacher receive feedback for all students. Thank you, Julie. It's feedback for all students, and that's really important. I was one of those kids. I sat in the back. I rarely raised my hand. It's just funny how I became a teacher and a principal. You would not have thought that if you met me when I was 10. But we get feedback from all of our students. All right, teacher gets more data, increased engagement, accountability, absolutely. Fantastic. All right. Thank you so much for all these responses. I appreciate you interacting. This is good stuff. Students are more engaged with the content and learn from each other. Absolutely. Oh, I love this. Student learning will increase. Students are not scared to participate. That gets a share. Love that answer. There's a lot of students out there that they're scared to talk in class for whatever reason, right? All right, I'm gonna keep us moving here. So these are things that you might have said, and I saw elements of all these. Transform teaching and student engagement. We can easily check for understanding and misconceptions, gives every student a voice. We're identifying students who are not mastering the content. And we are supporting sharing diverse perspectives, opinions, and ideas. We're not letting just a handful of students kind of dominate the population. As in a lot of classrooms, that's what happens. All right. This next activity here is called a collaborative board. And the collaborative board is like a Padlet or a Jamboard. And it's a way for us to kind of post up for everyone to see everyone's responses here. And when you launch one of these collaborative boards, it always asks you if you want to approve student comments before they are posted. If you're worried about a student posting something up that might be inappropriate, go ahead and click yes. That way you get to see everything first. I'm not terribly concerned about this group, so I'm going to click that. So my question to you is this: how do you currently facilitate conversations? What are some of the challenges that you or your students are experiencing during classroom discussions? Type your response in here, down at the bottom. And if you go over to the right-hand side of that like white text box there, right next to the number of characters you have left, there's that square button, blue button there. It looks like a mountain range with a sun on it. If you click on that, you can drop in a picture either from your computer or do a Google Safe Search. I always like to drop in the Nearpod logo when I do this. So go ahead. Let me know how you're currently facilitating those conversations. All right, so I've got turn and talk. I've got everyone having a chance to share their thoughts. A lot of turn and talk, cooperative learning. Thanks for the picture there. All right, lots of stuff popping up now. Students collaborate and teacher monitors. Students can be scared to share or someone overtakes the conversation. Thanks, Stacy. Now, one thing to notice on your end, I'm going to switch to my student screen for everyone who might not be here in the presentation. You can't see who's posting what. There are no names. Again, here in Nearpod, no names associated with anything that you might see. But on my screen, I can see all of your names. Again, I'm monitoring as the teacher here. Lots of turn and talk here. Flipgrid. Now Flipgrid is built right into Nearpod, by the way. I'll make sure I show you that. Cooperative learning groups or protocols like talk, read, talk, write. All right, fantastic. Some students don't like to share. From Kelly, absolutely. All right. All right, very good. I'm going to move on here. So we've talked a little bit about giving students more of a voice here. And here in Nearpod, and a lot of the activities that you'll have access to here, we can provide meaningful interactions, giving every student a voice here, not just the ones that dominate the conversation here. So we have like elements like the open-ended question, where students can type response, but also record audio, which again is great for our students where typing might be a barrier, or hey, I've got a lot to say, I just don't want to type it, right? We have our poll feature where we can share opinions, take a stance, our draw it feature where you can express creatively and also share with image. And then we also just did that collaborative board where we get to kind of see everyone's post and interact in that way. So a lot of different ways to spark conversations here. Now here's the draw it tool. Now you might recognize these are our learning objectives that I showed you. I think it was like our second slide here. And a lot of times, and I remember doing this in my classroom as well here, is I always would say, okay, this is what we're going to talk about today. But think about how much more dynamic this would be if you told your students, hey, we've got these 5 objectives over here. Which ones are you most excited about? Put a check, a check mark in that box. And you can go down, grab yourself a marker and choose the color, and then go ahead and put like a check mark in there. And then the other thing you can do is grab a text box. It's the uppercase and lowercase t. Grab a text box, bring that down there towards the bottom, and type in any additional learning that you'd like to learn today. And this is great for teachers because, you might, again, get some information from students like, oh, wow, like a third of my class really wants to learn about this other thing, and I wasn't going to talk about it. But hey, now I'm going to bring it in because I see that interest level there. So go ahead and play around with that. Hit that blue submit button, bottom right-hand corner. And then on my end, I can see your work in progress here. These images will refresh, I'd say about every 5-7 seconds or so. All right. A lot of you kind of working on yours, playing around with it. Fantastic. Right. And again, as a teacher, I'm checking for a couple of things. I'm checking for the content of, like, if students are writing in here, what are they writing? But also I'm checking for engagement. Who's not engaged in the activity? If I'm in the front of the classroom or even circulating around the classroom, my eyes aren't on every student. But if I am kind of always kind of coming back to this and looking at it, I can make sure, yeah, everyone's working on it and or submitting it. And now I can also go back and I can, let me grab one here. I can share out one that has been, as long as it's been submitted, I can share it. So I'm going to share out, grab one here. So now you're looking again at one of your peers. Again, no names associated with it, but an easy way for me to share out student work in a anonymous fashion. Right. So we've talked about and shown you kind of mainly these 6 tools right in front of here: the poll, the interactive video, the open-ended question, the draw, the collaborative matching pair. What I'd love for you to do here is go ahead and highlight and go grab the highlighter down there bottom. It looks like the upside down ketchup bottle. And go ahead and like fill in the circle. Which ones of these that you've now seen are you most interested in using with your classroom? For me, that interactive video is worth its weight in gold. I also love the collab report. Those are my 2 favorites. Go ahead and let us all know, what are your favorites? And you could have 6 favorites. You could have 1 favorite. There's no right or wrong here. But just go down the bottom here, plop in one of those text boxes, and why are those your favorite? Or how are you already using those in your classroom here? Go ahead and share your why, and then click on that blue submit button in the bottom right-hand corner for me, please. All right. So I am seeing collaborative board. I'm seeing the interactive video, the matching pairs. Again, there's no right or wrong answer here. All right. Oh, I like this a lot here. I like this. I'm going to share. Oh, I can't share it because now it's back in progress. It had to do with open-ended question, being really low risk for students, just giving them the opportunity to share their thoughts, which is really, really, really important. Oh, okay. This is good. This is good right here. I'm going to share this. Okay. The collab report. I like being able to add an image to my thinking. That's fantastic. It's really simple, but for some kids, that's that engagement piece that's going to take them to the next level. So I really appreciate that. All right. Very nice, very nice. All right, being able to hear all student voices, matching pairs is a fun icebreaker. Student participation, sharing of ideas with the collaborative board, open-ended questions. All right, very cool. Polling is great for feedback. Video provides feedback and accountability. Here's the thing with the interactive video. Video time for students is, it's a double-edged sword because students love a good video, but the problem is some students take the opportunity to stop paying attention. And if there's no interactive piece that's in there, it's really easy for students to do that. You bring those questions in there and you've got that accountability. Awesome. Very cool. All right. I'm going to keep us moving here. These are great responses. I appreciate it. Really what Nearpod allows us to do is engage our students in active learning. We're going to go from passive learning to active learning. And you're going to, in doing this, you're going to enhance your learning content. You're going to be encouraging students to interact with each other, the content, the teacher. And we can provide resources in the moment and then also for the future. But kind of the key concept here is we're going from teacher-led to teacher-facilitated. And that's a big instructional shift that Nearpod kind of allows us to do here. We're putting the students more in the driver's seat. We're giving them more accountability, which is a good thing. That's my fail-safe slide here, just in case I didn't tell you to connect your notes. And I actually recommend you put a slide in yours like this as a fail-safe. I always keep it in there just in case, because I want to make sure everyone can connect their notes. All right here. Okay, let's take a field trip. This is my favorite, by the way. This is my favorite feature here. We're going to take a field trip to a teacher's classroom. And while exploring, think about ways that you could change, think about what you would change to promote active collaborative learning with your students here. And what I'd like you to do here, again, this is a virtual reality field trip. Oh, they changed the image on me. This obviously is not a classroom. This is actually the Mars Curiosity rover. That was a surprise to me. There are actually tons of pictures. This is actually really cool, and I do show this one anyway. But here in this virtual reality field trip, you can move this around. It's 360 degrees around. I mean, that's the surface of Mars. That's really cool. I'm just saying, for me, that's really cool. You can look up in the sky, you can look down at the dirt, and you can zoom in on like the actual like features on the rover. I mean, I was one of those kids, I wanted to be an astronaut when I was young. And so like looking at this and knowing that this is on another planet, I think it's really cool. I think a lot of your students would think it's cool. But there's pictures like this from all over the world, tens of thousands of images. We'll peek at them in a little bit here. We do have pictures, of course, like you're looking at. This is a real picture from Mars. We also have pictures from the moon as well. Really cool images. Obviously, though, not a classroom. All right. You've seen what it can do here. Now let's get into Nearpod and talk about how we can kind of make that learning come to life. What I'd like for you to do here, and I'm going to give you a few minutes to do this. Go ahead, open up another tab in your browser and log into Nearpod. So you go to nearpod.com, or there might be a portal you're going to go through, and you are going to kind of log in. You can use your class link to log in. But however you log into Nearpod, go ahead, open up another tab in your browser and log into Nearpod. I'll give you just a minute to do that. Now, I will also say this. If you're not in a place where you can log in, that's okay. Again, this session is being recorded, and you can watch everything that I'm doing. I'm going to be doing everything as well. So if you're not in the right spot to log in, it's okay. But I'm going to give a minute for everyone to log in, because we are going to start to create. We're going to build. We're going to have some fun. Do about 20 more seconds here. Get logged in, and then I'll ease us into this. All right. So the first thing that I want to show you here is how to access the Teacher Resource Hub here. And the Teacher Resource Hub is kind of your one-stop shop here for, back it up here, for, if you forget how to do something, you need some references, you need some support, I'm going to show you how to get there. So if you're looking at my screen, and I'm going to go into my account here. So this is my account. All the way down, and if you're doing this on your screen, that's fine too. All the way on the left-hand side of your home screen, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, under Resources, you have a Teacher Resources tab there. If you click on that, it's going to take you to our Teacher Resources page. Now, I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to post that in the Zoom chat. There you go. And so if you want to bookmark that, you can, but you always have access to it in your Nearpod account. And this is a great website for you to use. We have live webinars where, if you're looking at time going, that's great, I'd love to attend that plan, create and edit a Nearpod lesson on Thursday, but I teach during that time. Yeah, you'll get the recording if you sign up. But we have live webinars that are there. We also have on-demand webinars, full library of that. The getting started with quick how-to videos, I call this the 4 horsemen of Nearpod. These are your building blocks. How to create a lesson, find lessons within our vast library, how to launch sessions, and how do you find those reports here. But if you want something a little bit more detailed, we have a huge YouTube channel filled with tutorial videos that are like 3 to 4 minutes long each. Super simple instructions led by Nearpod experts. And if you want to get a little bit more specific here, we've got kind of these big menu buttons here to get you a little bit more information here. But that's our teacher resources page. And I wanted to make sure that you all knew where that was here. So there you go. Now, let's talk about Nearpod for any level here. So for some of us, it's like, let me do something simple and quick. I don't want to like kind of start off with Nearpod and do something big and massive here. That's totally fine here. So we'll look at how to do something simple and quick. And then we're also going to look at like, how do I find these ready to use lessons? Again, over 8,500 standard line lessons that are in there. So simple and quick. I'm going to go into my Nearpod account. And up in the top right-hand corner, I've got a couple items here. In the middle, top right, got a quick launch button. And let's say you're having an amazing classroom conversation. And you're not using Nearpod, you're just having a great conversation here. And you're thinking, oh, I wish I had some sort of like an exit ticket. Because I'd really like to capture this data here. And yes, I could have students write on a Post-it note or a piece of paper, but I mean, I spent a lot of years in the classroom. I lost a lot of those. So like, how do I capture this? You can launch an open-ended question or a collaborate board in the moment. So if I click on, say, collaborate board, and hey, I just want to use this as an exit ticket. So I enter in my topic, what did you learn today? And I can choose my background. I like the cork board, and I can quick launch it. Now, this is going to pull up a screen similar to the one that you joined my session with. You do not need to do anything with this. I'm just showing you what it looks like. So don't log into this. What you would do is this would come up. You would tell your students, hey, go to join.nearpod.com, enter in that code, and that's how you're going to get your exit ticket. Students will enter in their answer. You now have everyone's exit ticket. So that's how you quick launch. It's the same thing for the open-ended question. I'll close that one down. Same thing for the open-ended question there. Again, it's great for kind of on the fly. You're not in a Nearpod presentation, but hey, I want to launch something. Now, the other thing that I can do is search that Nearpod library. So we have, and I've said this, I know, like 30 times by now, over 8,500 standard aligned lessons that are great for every grade level, every subject. They're turnkey, they're ready to go here. So you've got a couple different options here. And again, some of this training is kind of like choose your own adventure. And you're going to get, again, a copy of this if you connect your notes here. So for quick launch, you click on this, you get a little kind of cheat sheet on how we quick launch our items there. And then it's the same thing for searching the library. So what you're going to do on your Nearpod home screen to search the library is over on that left navigation toolbar, select Nearpod library. And you can search for content. You can actually type in some keywords there right at the top. You could do a search and click on lessons. Select your standard or the state. So like Common Core, Next Generation Science Standards, our national social studies standards. Or again, you can select your state, select the subject, and select the grade. And then you can get even more specific and go into the strand. You can preview a Nearpod lesson and add it to your own personal Nearpod library. I'm going to pop into my account here, show you that in real time here. So if you're looking at my screen, I'm going to go into Nearpod library. I am going to go over here, click on lessons, choose my standard, again, Common Core Next Generation Science Standard or my national social studies standards. Or I can go down and click on state. Completely up to you. I'll go ELA, and I'll do 5th grade. So now I've got some lessons starting to pop up here. Now I can go to the strand. So if I'm trying to fill in information, say from an assessment where my students didn't perform so well on a certain strand, I can use this as an intervention tool. Or if I know the curriculum that I'm using is a little soft in certain areas, I can bring this in to kind of beef it up a little bit here. So again, to back it up here, let me go back into my home screen. About 2/3 of the way down once you log in, Nearpod library. And then we do have that featured content here in the middle, and this content will change from time to time. Here we are in October, so we've got National Bullying Prevention Month, Fire Prevention Week, LGBTQ History Month, and kind of getting into November. So this content does change over time here. But if I'm looking for something specific, I go up to the top left-hand corner, and I'm going to click on Lessons. I can then click on the standard, again, choosing some national standards, or click on the state. And then once I have selected either my state or my standard, I'll select the subject. This time I'll do math. I'll select a grade. Kindergarten all the way through high school. This time I'll go ahead and do 2nd grade. And I've got items that are popping up now. But if I want to get even more granular, I can scroll down here and look for an individual strand. So let me click on one here. And based off of the strand I selected, I now have a variety of different lessons that I can choose from. So maybe I was looking for a bar graph lesson here. I can click on that lesson. And now I'm going to preview that lesson on my screen. So what I'm doing here is I'm seeing, hey, I just want to see if I can use this. Is this something that I'm interested in using? Got a pre-assessment here, so it's going to show me the quiz. Again, I'm just seeing, is this something that I can work with? So I'm going to look at this bar graph here. How many chickens are on the farm? Okay, so I'm going through. If this is something, again, that I can use, it's in the ballpark of something that I like here, I'm going to go down here at the bottom, add to my lessons. So I'm going to click on add to my lessons, and it's going to take it from the Nearpod global library and put it in my own personal library. And if I want to see that lesson in my library, go back to my home screen by clicking on that Nearpod logo. And right next to Explore the Nearpod Library Cube, every single time to the right of that, there's the lesson I just downloaded. So I went into my main Nearpod library. I looked for a lesson. I previewed that lesson, and then I downloaded it into my Nearpod library. And now it's showing right here. And every time you download one, again, always appears to the right of that Explore the Nearpod Library cube. And again, if you connected your notes, you're going to get kind of like a little cheat sheet on how to do that quick launch and to how to search the library. All right, what I'd like for you all to do actually, before we move on here, is I want you to get in there. I want everyone to access that Nearpod library. search for a lesson by choosing the standard or your state, the subject, the grade, and the strand. Find a lesson and then download it into your library. Let's take a few minutes to do that so we can get some practice on your end. And while you're doing that, I'll do it one more time on my end as well. So I selected lessons. I can select the standard or the state. This time I'll keep with Common Core. Choose my subject. Select the grade level. And now the strand. Now, sometimes if you look at my screen, this will pop up. It means that, hey, there's nothing for that strand in our library at this time. We are always adding and moving around content. So if that comes up, nothing wrong happened. It just means at this time we didn't have any content at that strand. I can go ahead and choose a lesson that I'm interested in and preview it right on my screen before I add it to my library. And if this is a lesson that I like, and if the one you're looking at, if it's a lesson that you like, go ahead, add it to your lessons by clicking on that blue button down there at the bottom that says Add to My Lessons. And then to see that lesson, click on that Nearpod logo, top left corner, and right next to the Explore the Nearpod Library Cube, that is the lesson you downloaded. All right. So hopefully you've all downloaded a lesson into your lesson library. But again, you have those resources that are embedded here into your notes so that you can always go back and review later on. All right. So now let's create a lesson. So we looked at our lesson library. Now let's go ahead and create a lesson. So what would happen if you used your own resources in a new way? And I've got a video for you, so make sure you're watching, again, my screen. I'm going to play it just on my screen. But this will set the context of how do we create our own from scratch. Let's watch. I love that video because if I had a piano staircase that I could go on, that would just be amazing. So I have a collaborative board here for you. My question is, what remained the same about the stairs and what changed? How can this apply to resources you already use to deliver your instruction? Go ahead and type your thoughts down there in that text box. If you want to grab a picture, you can as well. So what remained the same and what changed? And then think about again how that applies to your instruction. And I know you don't have names on your end. I have the names on my end, but Melissa, thank you for getting us started here. The stairs were made more engaging and interesting to the user. The same can be done with instruction in the classroom. Absolutely. Love this next one. The functionality, they still perform the same basic function. The experience of using them changed. Absolutely. You still have to walk up the stairs. It's still the same amount of effort, but the experience changed. And Jeff, you're same thing, the same level of difficulty. It's also still the same amount of stairs. That doesn't change either. Yeah, you're all right there. You're all saying basically the same thing here. Very cool. Oh, Myra actually found a picture of a screenshot of the video. I like that. No one's ever done that in these sessions. The more difficult option was more engaging, so that it was the preferred choice. Absolutely. I'm a big elevator escalator guy, and if there's one there, that's what I'm taking. The stairs, not so much, because it requires, again, more effort. It's the more difficult option. But hey, if it's more fun and engaging, I'm probably going to take that. Right. Very cool. I love all these responses here. So I see a question here. Is there a way to use a collaborative board but approve the posts before they show up? Absolutely. There's a little, when you use the collaborative board, there's a little window that'll pop up on before anyone can respond. And it'll give you as the teacher the option of saying, yes, I want to approve everything before they're posted, or no, I'm good. I don't need to approve anything. For these trainings, don't approve. I don't need to approve anything. I'm not worried about anyone posting anything inappropriate. But again, if that is a concern of yours, knowing your students better than anyone else, then you can click yes, just to monitor. Mm-hmm. Oh, I hear you. Middle schoolers. Yeah. And I spent 10 years in middle school. So yes, that's the group that I would be worried about as well. But if they know that you can see their names, and if you know that if you turn that on and you're going to approve or deny posts as they come in, and hey, it's a one and done type deal, they catch on real fast. All right. So we're going to keep with the stairs theme throughout this second part of the training here. So we're going to start with your stairs, and think about what resources do you have as your primary instructional materials. And usually when we think about presentations, we think about PowerPoints, we think about Google Slides, PDFs, we think about video. Those are kind of like our bread and butter with our stairs. And what we're going to do is we're going to use that and build from that. So we're going to create a lesson your way, and you're going to have a choice in how you want to proceed here. But you have a couple of different choices here. I showed you how to download a lesson from the Nearpod library. And what you can do here is that you can use one of those lessons, and you can actually edit it to meet the needs of your students. You can change things around. You could also create your own from scratch and start 100% blank slate and build Nearpod presentations from the ground up. You can use PowerPoints, videos, and Google Slides and upload that into Nearpod. And then I like to use Nearpod as a verb. You Nearpodize them and make them interactive and fun and engaging. So if you have a presentation already created, you can use that. You can also build a presentation in Google Slides and be collaborative with your peers. and then push that into Nearpod. So a couple different ways that we can approach this. So my question to you is this, and you've got a poll in front of you. Which method do you think you would like to try today when creating your Nearpod presentation? Go ahead and choose one of these options here, and then click that blue submit button in the bottom right-hand corner. Right. And then back on my screen again, I can see your responses pop up in real time. All right. So editing a pre-made lesson seems to be the favorite at the moment. Give a few more seconds and I'm going to share out the results with everyone here. So a couple more seconds if you haven't voted yet. All right. Okay, I'm going to share out results here, and on your student screen, you can see the results here. So editing a pre-made lesson from the Nearpod library, uploading or finding a video, making it interactive, using the Google Slides add-on. And then down from there, building Nearpod lessons, using a slide editor, which is building from scratch, and then utilizing your own resources. So that kind of gives me a nice roadmap here. So we'll jump into editing a pre-made lesson first. Thank you for doing that poll for me, please, here. So let me just explain what this screen here in front of you, again, a kind of a choose your own adventure. If you connected your notes, you're going to get a copy of all this. So what you'll do next here, up top, these are all hyperlinks. So you can click on any of those graphics and it'll take you to kind of a step-by-step way of personalizing everything here. I'm just showing you this now here. I'm going to walk you through this, but I'm just showing you that it's there. And what I will say, if you know how to edit a pre-made lesson, and you want to go and jump into learning about how to upload your PowerPoints or your Google Slides, please do so. Consider this kind of your work time a little bit here. I'm going to start over with editing the pre-made lessons though. So if you know how to do that already, feel free to explore kind of a different area here. But if you are ready to edit a pre-made lesson, I'm going to go into my account here. And let's go ahead and just watch my screen while I'm doing this. And I'm going to go into one of the lessons that I downloaded. So I'll grab this one here and I hover over it. I've got a couple options. I'm going to go down to the left-hand corner of it where it says edit. And when I click on that, it's going to ask me, do I want to keep a copy of the original or duplicate the lesson before editing it? If you're brand new to Nearpod, I recommend duplicating the lesson. That way you keep the original as well. So you click on duplicate. Now it's going to take me to my editing screen. Here are all my slides from that presentation that I downloaded. Now, first and foremost, I'm not tied to the order that they were given to me. I can move my slides around. I can also delete slides. Let's say this let's dive in slide. I don't need that anymore. I'll go to delete and it goes away. But the fun part is adding content and activities. So if I click on that button here, I've got 14 different content features, 11 different activities to choose from. Now, I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'm going to hit on my favorites and hit on a few things that from kind of early in the presentation, I can tell these would be the ones you might be most interested in. Now, number one, if I wanted to create just a content slide, like a Google slide or a PowerPoint slide, I've got two options. I've got our classic slides here, but I have our new one, which says beta on it. Okay, and if I click on that, I can now create my own kind of content slide here. Got a lot of different options. I can choose kind of my color scheme. I'll do the orange because it's October and almost Halloween. And let's say I want to create a slide. I'm talking about George Washington. Okay. That's a great question. Okay, so question was asked if you, when you add a lesson to your folder and edit it, are you editing the original lesson? Are you editing kind of the original lesson or destroying one from the library? It's always your own original. Once you download it, it's in yours. You can't break or change one of the original ones in the main Nearpod library. When you download it to your library, it becomes yours. Any changes you make don't affect the original one. So here on the slide, I can change my layout here. So title with 2 columns. I like this one. I could add a picture by going up to images. And you can grab one for your computer, or I do everything using a Google search that's built right in. I grab a picture of George Washington. And I can also type in text, or I can copy and paste text. Now, anything that I type in there, that immersive reader will read it. I can also put in something a little bit more fun here. Let's do this. Do a little animation. See if I can find one that's, let's do this. There we go. Just a little bit more fun. And then the other thing I can do that I love is that if I go up here, go up to audio, I have audio features as well. If I go to record audio, I can record a message to my students on the slide. So I can tell my students that George Washington was born in 1732. He was the first president of the United States. He lived in Mount Vernon and he died in 1799. Save that in there. And then when I get to the slide, students can play my recorded message back. Again, make it a little bit more personalized. So that's our new slide feature. And if I save that in there, it'll save into my presentation. And anytime I add a piece into my presentation, it always will come down there at the bottom. Here's my slide. There it is. But no worries, I can move it around. But I always will put new items there at the bottom. So that's our new slide feature. Now that interactive video, it's right here under video. Click on that. Now a couple ways I can grab a video. We have an extensive video library, over 2,000 interactive videos with questions already embedded in there. And you search for those videos in the same way that you search for lessons. You can also upload a video from your computer or shared drive. My personal favorite though, YouTube Safe Search. So let's say we're talking about the moon landing. And I can preview videos right here on my screen. And after previewing it, if this is the video that I want, I click on Save. And now I can add in either open-ended or multiple choice questions. To do that, I'm going to grab this little white tracker ball and I'm going to move it. Let's say right at 1 minute. There we go. See, 1 minute. And if I move this around, that number changes. Right at there it is. 1 minute. I'm going to click on that add activity, again, an open-ended or a multiple choice question. Let's do open-ended. Who was the first person on the moon? Say that in there. And now exactly 1 minute into the video will stop and ask my students this question. I can add in as many questions as I want to. I'll just do one for now. But I click on Save, and it's going to add that video with the embedded question into my presentation. And there it is again at the end. But again, I can move it around. we've got a web content feature here where you can add in, you take students to any website, anything with a URL. So you can take them like a scholastic.com, like a nasa.gov. My personal favorites are like shared documents, like have them work together on a Google Doc or on a slide presentation, or send them somewhere embedded within your curriculum, like a typing club or a website that has, say, a science dissection lab on it. You can embed that URL right here into Nearpod. Lisa, I see your question. Can you add a timer to a slide? You can add timers to certain slides, and I'll show you that when the activities come up. Absolutely. Nearpod 3D images for students to manipulate around here. I'm going to go down to, we have like ancient times, Pantheon, the Parthenon, the Leaning Tower, the Colosseum, microscopic organisms, cells. I like going into the human body. And let's go to the muscular system. I can preview this. So if I want to talk to my students about the muscular system, they can manipulate this image around 360 degrees around, zoom in, rotate around, zoom out. Much more interesting than, say, a PDF. So that's Nearpod 3D. And again, the best way to get more familiar with this is after the training, get into Nearpod, play around with these different content features and activities. That is the best way to really learn how to do this. Here's my favorite, the VR field trip. Now, before I get into this, in the Zoom chat, if you could get on a plane this afternoon and go anywhere in the world, where would you go? Put that in the Zoom chat for me, please. Anywhere in the world. You just won the lottery. You can go anywhere in the world. There's no COVID restrictions. Anywhere in the world, Zoom chat, where would you go? Put it in there, please. All right, I got Bora Bora, Greece, Italy, Australia, Spain, a couple Spains, London, Peru, Turks and Caicos. I'm just getting ideas for my vacation that I have planned coming up here. So I'm getting a lot of great ideas. All right. No, I'm just kidding. I don't go anywhere. Okay. I got some ideas here. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to get into the VR field trip. Let me show you where we can go here. So I saw Greece. Let's do Athens. And how about taking your students right to the Acropolis? Puts them right there. So much for students to look at and see. I'm hoping I'm not making you nauseous. Scroll around. Again, it's like having a VR headset on. I can zoom in and zoom out, look down, look up. So much better than actually having to climb those stairs, which I did, and it was 120 degrees and I almost passed out. I saw Italy, but let's go to Rome. Again, a very similar, I'll show you something very similar here. We're talking about the ancient Rome. Hey, put them in the Roman Colosseum. Now I'll do this one, and don't blame me because someone requested it. Let's go to Bora Bora. Don't blame me. I know you want to, but I'm still going to show you this picture. Yeah. Now, I'm just going to put this out there that I think the next time we do a Nearpod training, we do a location training and we all meet up here. But you can go anywhere in the world. You can transport your students anywhere, have them manipulate the image. Again, really, really dynamic learning. Yes, sometimes I look at beaches because I really do want to go. You can put in PDFs, picture slideshows, 14 different content features to choose from, a lot to choose from here. And again, the best way is just to get in here and explore. But let's go over to activities. Now, let me show you again some of my favorites. We actually saw a bunch of these earlier on in the presentation and you participated in them. I want to show you Time to Climb though. Time to Climb is fun, gamified learning for students. And what happens is that students will answer questions, and if they answer questions quickly and correctly, they start to earn more points. The more points they have, the faster they're going to climb up this mountain. So I'll be very simplistic about this here. Let me show you how to build a question. So 2 + 2 equals, put in my answer options here. And you can be as complex as you want about this. Select the correct answer. Now, I did have that question about the timer. I get to choose how long I want my students to have to answer that question, from 5 seconds to 1.5 minutes. So again, knowing my students, I want to choose that. Now, I choose that per question. So I can have, say, 12 questions in my Time to Climb. I can choose the timer for each one. I can also choose some reference images to help them answer the question, or just to provide support. So I can do like a little fun graphic and put that in there. Or I actually could find a graphic that could help them answer the question. Maybe not 2 + 2, but something that's a little bit more in, higher level. So that's Time to Climb. I'll save that one in there. And again, every time I add an activity, it's going to put down there at the bottom. Just like the others, I can move it around. Drag and drop is a brand new feature. It's only been around for about 2 months here. And what I like with drag and drop is it really allows the teacher to be creative here. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to add my background down here at the bottom left, add background, and I can choose an image that I can upload. But I'll grab, let's see, I've got a bunch of options here. Let's do T-shaped. And let me add in my headers. And I'll be simple about this. So I'll do even numbers and odd numbers. Oops, there we go. Perfect. And now, so I got my categories. Now I'm going to add my labels. I can do images or I can do text. I'll do text. I'm going to do numbers. So I'm creating my bank. I can do this with vocabulary. I can do this with cause and effect. I can do this with really whatever as a teacher I want to do. Now, if I launch this, I can't do it now because I'm in a build mode, but students would drag these and put them in the right categories. See, it's not going to let me do it because we're building, but they would bring it over into the different categories. The coolest one I've seen is that the teacher will put up a map of like the United States and there'll be the names of cities and they have to move the cities to the corresponding states or the state names. But they're dragging and dropping those elements over. Here's our open-ended question, our matching pairs that we did at the beginning. I'll show you what the matching pairs looks like. Again, I can add in, like I was kind of showing before here, 3 times 3. I could do my math facts. I could do vocabulary. I can add an image, do a Google search with that. I don't have anything saved on my computer. I just do the Google search for everything. Again, cause and effect, vocabulary, sky's the limit on this. It's a great interactivity to kind of launch your beginning of your lesson with. So that's the matching pairs. Here's that Flipgrid integration. And so if you're using Flipgrid, you just put your links right here into Nearpod, the topic URL and the join link, and they can access it. It'll pop up right from Nearpod. It'll pop up. They can record their Flipgrid and then they can come right back into Nearpod. So one of the great things about utilizing Flipgrid and Nearpod is that you keep your students in one spot. They're not navigating out to different platforms. You're keeping them all within kind of that Nearpod umbrella. Showed you the collaborative board. Let me show you the draw tool from the back end. So the draw tool is all about the background image. You can grab something from your computer if you'd like, a graphic organizer. Again, I do everything from Google. So let's say I want my students to work on a KWL chart. I'm just going to type that into the search. I'll select one that Google has of the 8 million that it does have. And there's my KWL chart that students can annotate on top of. I can decide I want, let's see, for a writing project, how about bubble web? And again, when students are doing this activity, sometimes it doesn't like the image for whatever reason. That's weird because I've used that image before. Let's try a different one. And again, the great thing with this is that as students are completing this, I'm able to see everyone's work at the same time. All right. So again, as we're adding 14 different content features, 11 different activities to choose from. And again, the way that I have found to become more and more familiar with Nearpod is to get in and play with all the elements. But once you have a presentation that works for you, save and exit. And here it is, our weird, funky presentation that we created right here. Now, if I wanted to start to build from scratch, let's say I didn't want to grab something from the lesson library, I just want to create from scratch. We have 2 create buttons. When you click on them, you get a drop-down menu with 4 different options that look exactly the same. It's because it's the same button, the same menu. Just click on lesson and you'll start from scratch. Again, that's the way you can build out. 14 different content features, 11 different activities. All right, now, get back to the beginning. Let's say you have a presentation that you already have and you don't want to create from scratch. I want to upload my PowerPoint. I want to upload my Google Slides. Click on that create button, go back into lessons. And again, this is where you build on your own. But instead of doing that, go to upload files. Now you can upload one of your presentations from your computer, your shared drive. I'm going to go into my Google Drive here because that's where everything I do is housed. And I'm going to grab a Google Slide presentation. And see if it will grab the correct one. Here we go. Social emotional learning one. I'm going to select it. And it's always going to ask me if I want to upload files as a series of individual slides or a scrolling slideshow. If you want your Nearpod presentation to look like a Google slide or a PowerPoint, 99% of the time you're going to click individual slides. PDF viewer is if you only have 1 or 2 slides. To be honest, I've never used this. I'm going to click on individual slides. And what it's doing now is it's uploading each and every one of my slides. It's actually taking a snapshot of them. So down there in the bottom right-hand side, it says file processing, sit back, relax, or hey, you can continue editing. So keep in mind that when you upload a presentation, anything that's interactive on your original presentation isn't going to upload and be interactive. It's taking a screenshot. So if you have a video that you had embedded in your Google Slide presentation, you're going to have to come back in, add content and activities, and grab a new video. That way, that video will work within the presentation, but all of your static content will upload. Now, you're going to want to go in and add activities and different content features anyway, because You don't want to just upload a PowerPoint or a Google slide presentation and launch it because it's not interactive. So add in those interactive elements into your presentation. And here we go. Here are all my Google slides. All my content is there. This would have taken me a really long time in Nearpod to replicate, but I don't have to. It's all there. But now I can add in my content features, my activities, make it interactive and engaging and fun for my students. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you here is how to build within Google Slides. Go back to one of those create buttons. Instead of clicking on lessons, we're actually going to go to Google Slides. And when you click on this, it's going to take you right in to your Google Slides. Now there's something you have to do up front here, and you only have to do this once, but you have to install the Nearpod, the Nearpod add-on in Google. To do this, go up to add-ons. I already have it, it's right here, but if you don't have it, you're going to go to get add-ons. You can search for Nearpod, and you're going to click on Nearpod for Google Slides. You'll install it. It takes just a few seconds. You only have to do that once, by the way. Once it's installed, it's installed. Then, every other time you come into this, you'll go to add-ons and you'll open Nearpod. And it'll open the Nearpod add-on over here on the right-hand side of your screen. And now what I can do is I can build in my Nearpod presentation in Google Slides. So let's say I want to draw it. The interface is exactly the same. So let me create, I'll do a K2L chart. Save that in there. Again, I can add anything I want to this. I can share this Google Slide presentation with a colleague. We can co-create together. Let me add in one extra element here. I'm going to do another field trip, and let's do, someone said Peru. Let me add in that virtual reality field trip. Now, when I'm done, I'm going to save and go to Nearpod. And what it's going to do, it's going to push this up into Nearpod. Here it is. It's saving right now. Now, all the interactive elements that I create within the Google Slide presentation using that Nearpod add-on, those will transfer over. And here's my presentation. If you want to see the slides and make sure that they're there, there they are. Now, we'll open it in Google Slides. All right. If you want to preview it, top bottom corner, just to show you that it works properly here. Here's my K2L chart that I can annotate on, and my virtual reality field trip. All right. You're going to get these cheat sheets of everything that I just showed you embedded here within your Nearpod presentation. The other thing, here we go. The other thing here is, when you are either uploading, you're creating on your own, you always, again, you want to add activities to your stairs. Always use that stairs as kind of your background here. So again, 14 different content features, 11 different activities. I love the interactive video, the VR field trip, the 3D models. So what I'm going to do here, and we'll take a few minutes to do this, get in there. And these are completely interactive as well here. Get in and you can add and create from scratch here, add a couple activities, download something from the library, but get in here and just kind of play around with Nearpod for a few minutes. I'm going to stop talking for a few minutes. We'll come back at 3:30, which is just a couple minutes here. Let's kind of play around with this for a few minutes here. We'll kind of move on from there. So kind of get in here and I'll come back in a few minutes. If you do have a question though, I'm just going to stop talking. I'm not actually leaving, but if you have a question, you can put it in the Zoom chat and I'll be able to answer your question there, but I'll stop talking and let you kind of play for a few minutes. I realize I said I was going to stop talking here, but just want to remind everyone, these are completely interactive. And again, as you connected your notes, you're going to get a copy of all of these. Here's all the activities and kind of cheat sheets on how to build them on the back end. So you're leaving with quite a lot of resources here. All right, I see your question there. I'd like to have students sort words according to categories. I can see how to create the sort items, but how would I create the chart background? Oh, okay, perfect. I will, I'll jump in my count here, and I'm gonna go to if you're building on your playing on your end, don't worry about what I'm doing, but if you wanna watch what I'm doing, I'm answering a question about drag and drop. So getting back into drag and drop, I'm glad you're going to play around with this with your students. This is great. So I think you were able to kind of do this. And you can create like, what they'd be dragging over. You're going to go to add background. And you've got options like the T-shaped, equal sign, 3-column, 4-column. And then what you would do here is up at the top, create like a text box. And again, I'm not sure exactly what you're doing, but like you could do like cities. And here would be countries. And then maybe over here, would be oceans. And you could have a fourth, and then you would create like your, Los Angeles. Just going to create my labels here, and I could do Pacific Ocean. Awesome. Okay, great. I'm glad you got it. Perfect. I'm glad you're going to use this tool. Like I said, it's new. I love it. I love it. All right. Hopefully you got to kind of play around a little bit. And again, I always say this, play around as much as you can with it. It's the best way to become more familiar with it. I'm going to move us over to, now that we've created something here, we're going to launch and share a lesson code. And we have two ways to do this, either live, like what we're in now, or student paced. And to be honest, let me go into my account here. I just like to show it to you live. I just think it's easier. So I'm going to go down here, and this is that real crazy one that we made here. So hover over it, I got these two options, live participation, student paced. If I want to do live, like what we're in now, I'm gonna click on live. Now again, don't do anything with this information here because I'm just showing you, but a couple different ways for your students to join. In the in-class setting, you could tell your students, hey, go to join.nearpod.com and you can write that code up on the board. If you're using any sort of web conferencing feature here, you can copy that link. You can post it into like a chat. You can post and push into Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams as well. So a couple different ways for students to join your presentation. And I'll close this out here, for student paced, so this is what students would do if you're doing something individualized or maybe for some homework. I always like to push Nearpod for homework. Hover over it again, student paced. Very, very similar. Here's my code, join.nearpod.com, my sharing options here. A couple things that are different. I can decide how long I want my presentation open for students to work on. So let's say it's Tuesday, I want to do on Friday. Got a couple days left. I can require students to go in order of the presentation so they can't skip around. I can turn that on or off. I can also view the progress of my students. So let's say, again, I signed it today. By Wednesday afternoon, I want them halfway done with it. I can go and see how much of my students done. Are they doing okay? Do they need some support? I can view their progress kind of at any time because I don't want a surprise on Friday when half of them didn't do it. I want to know ahead of time so I can give them a little nudge. So that's how you launch live or student-paced lessons here. Now, the final thing that I'm going to show you this afternoon is how to get into your reports. How do you find the data? Over on the top left-hand side here, main navigation toolbar, go to reports here. And it's going to list out all of the Nearpod presentations that you have taught from the most recent at the top here. So this is the one we're actually in now. So I'm going to click on it. This is our session. How cool is that? Now, a couple things I can see first and foremost here. Participation rates. Did my students do the activities? Now, we moved around a little bit, so we didn't get to all the different activities, and that's okay. But I can see, again, who was with me, who wasn't with me, who decided to take a nap, who's got them all in. So right off the board, I can see participation rates, but then I go up here at the top, click on these individual formative assessments, and I can get and see how everyone answered the question along with kind of like a bird's eye view. So here's our poll. Here's our open-ended question. I submitted a little audio response. You see there, it's right there. Our drought, I can make them bigger. Our matching pairs that we did right at the beginning. The collaborative board that I love for exit tickets. There they are. Even the questions from the interactive video. I can download this class view as a PDF or a CSV or individual students reports. Great for IEPs, 504s, parent-teacher conferences, you name it. We've got a report for it. I can also share this information quickly with a coach, a co-teacher, an administrator. So just in, the one kind of lesson that we were in, you can see how many pieces of data I have from just one session. All right. It's a lot of information. And I appreciate you just staying with me and hanging out here. So now that I've kind of done that kind of big overview of Nearpod here, I want you to think, how will you transform learning in your classroom here? I've got a final collaborative board here for you. What did you learn today that will guide you as you create and edit lessons in Nearpod? Go ahead, put your thoughts down there in that text box down there at the bottom. Go ahead and put a picture in there if you'd like to as well. I always like to use a picture of this little girl, probably because, although mine doesn't look like that anymore, my little one used to look just like that. Now she's almost 11. But what's your takeaway from today? And let's share out, because I always like to say the smartest person in the room is the room. And if we can share out our ideas, share out how we are going to learn together, betters everyone. All right. Okay. Benefits of incorporating Nearpod in lessons, utilize the Nearpod library for inspiration and ideas. Awesome. All the activities that can be uploaded within lessons have already been created in order. Yeah. Use already that's in there. Interactive tools look great. I look forward to showing teachers the many functions like drag and drop. Love all the ways students can participate and give feedback. Ability that Nearpod brings to the table to engage students and give them confidence to be wrong anonymously. Absolutely. We need them to be okay with getting the answer wrong, but no one likes to raise their hand and get a question wrong in front of all their peers. Whew. I never wanted to be wrong, and so therefore I rarely raised my hand, but this way I can do that. I like this. I can work on implementing this into my work, and if I make small changes, my students will be engaged in learning. Absolutely. And no, it's not that hard. I'm glad you said it. I'm reading what you wrote here because I'm always careful to say that. If this is hard for anybody, go slow. You don't have to have a 50, 60 slide Nearpod presentation. You could have 3 slides with 2 activities, and that would be a win-win for everyone. Love that. The drag and drop feature, the Google Slide activities. I'm eager to share ideas with the teachers I'm coaching. I'm eager for you too, Terry. The quick glance at the data is amazing. Love the reports. Yeah, all the above. All the above here. Awesome. Allows to truly provide students opportunities to participate rather than the traditional call-out method. Yes. And everyone gets to participate, not just the ones you call out or the ones that have the loudest voice. All right. Awesome. Very good. Very good. Okay. Thank you. And putting it all together here, think about your learning goals and prepare your lessons and target those learning goals. Whether you are the one in the classroom doing the teaching or you're working with teachers who you coach, think about what do you want out of this lesson. Practice facilitating lessons. I join my own sessions. That's what I do, and that's how I practice. And I get to see the experience from a student perspective and the adult perspective. But having new teachers practice this is essential. Don't go in cold into a group of students. And always monitor student progress in the moment and then after the fact as well here. Anytime within your Nearpod journey, support at nearpod.com. They are open from 8 in the morning to 8 in the evening, Eastern Standard Time. There's always folks standing by who can support and help you in your Nearpod journey. I'm also here to support you in your Nearpod journey as well. There's my email address. I'm going to put it here in the chat. david.franklin@nearpod.com. Boom. If you are on social media, @sfprincipal is my handle. I tweet out tips and tricks about Nearpod several times a day, updates and different things. So if you're on social media, if you're on Twitter, you can join me there. You could also visit at Nearpod, at Flocabulary, our sister company, but a couple different ways to stay in touch here. But if you're having trouble and if you want support in any sort of way, again, 15 years in classrooms and public ed, 10 years as a professor of education. I'm happy to work alongside you in lesson creation and ideas. I do have teachers and coaches and administrators email me kind of all the time as they're going through their journey. So please reach out if there's anything that I can do for you.